You hear about it all the time, right? The insane, breakneck speed of AI progress. But what if I told you that behind all the hype, the entire industry is actually facing three huge crises? Crises that are forcing everyone to go back to the drawing board. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit to the beginning of this year. The anticipation was off the charts. I mean, after GPT-4 completely changed the game, everyone was just waiting, holding their breath for the next giant leap forward, GPT-5.
Yeah, well, that didn't happen. The big breakthrough never arrived. Instead, OpenAI's super hyped new model, which was codenamed Orion, well, word on the street is, it just wasn't the leap everyone was hoping for. It got quietly downgraded to just an incremental update, a .5 release.
So what gives? Why did this seemingly unstoppable train of AI progress suddenly hit the brakes? Well, the answer isn't just about one company, and it's definitely not about just one model.
See, this isn't just about GPT-5 not showing up to the party. It's a symptom of a much, much deeper problem. The old playbook, the one that basically said bigger is always better, well, that playbook has run its course, and it's led the entire industry into what you might call a triple crisis. Okay, so let's dig into crisis number one, hitting the scaling wall. The problem, in a nutshell, is that the old trick, just throwing more data and more computer power at these models, it's just not working like it used to. The magic is fading. Just look at this. The jump from GPT-3 to GPT-4, huge, absolutely massive gains. But the next step, from 4 to 4.5, whoa, it's a tiny little hop, even though the effort and investment were just as massive. The returns are diminishing, and they are diminishing fast. And hey, don't think this is just an OpenAI thing. As the investor Mark Andreessen points out here, it feels like all the big models from all the big labs are starting to bump their heads on the exact same ceiling. That kind of suggests we're hitting a fundamental limit, not just some temporary pothole. And here's another weird problem. How do you even know if you're getting better? We keep creating these tests, these benchmarks to measure AI progress, and the models are solving them faster than we can invent new ones. The glue test was cracked in a year. Its tougher successor, just 2 years. I mean, when you can ace every test you're given, it's pretty hard to tell if you're actually getting any smarter. And it's simple, right? You can build the biggest, baddest engine in the world, but if you run out of gas, you're not going anywhere. And that gas, all the high-quality human-made text and images on the internet, we're starting to run out. Some experts think we could hit empty as soon as 2026. So that data shortage, that leads us straight into crisis number 2, the data mirage. To get around this problem of running out of human data, labs started doing something that sounds clever at first. They're feeding AI with data created by other AIs. And this, my friends, is where things start to get really strange. It kicks off this process called model collapse. The best way to think about this is, when you make a photocopy of a photocopy and then another one from that one? Each time, the image gets a little blurrier, a little more distorted, until it's just a mess. That's what's happening to the AI's mind. And this isn't just some theory, you guys. This is real. Researchers showed what happens. On the left, you've got an AI trained on real human stuff, talking pretty intelligently about architecture. On the right, after just 9 generations of learning from other AIs, it's completely lost its mind, just spouting total nonsense about different colored jackrabbits. It's literally forgetting what reality looks like.
Okay, but here's what makes this really scary. Everybody, and I mean everybody, is doing the exact same thing. They're all using these same techniques, where big AIs teach little AIs, or where AIs judge each other's work. This creates a dangerous monoculture. It means if one model develops a weird quirk or a bad bias, it can spread through the entire AI ecosystem like a virus.
And the sheer scale here is just wow. According to Gartner, this year, 60% of all data being used to train AI was already synthetic. That's not a future problem. That's a right-now problem. It's like a giant ticking clock for the entire industry. All right, which brings us to the third and final crisis in our little trilogy, architectural stagnation. You see, for all the talk about revolution, the actual blueprint for today's top AIs is, well, it's getting kind of old. The entire industry is basically driving a souped-up car with a 2017 engine. That engine?
It's called the Transformer. And look, back in 2017, it was a game changer, an absolute revolution. But since then, it's been all tweaks and tune-ups. Clever ideas for sure, but they're all just modifications or workarounds on that same original 2017 design. We haven't had a truly new engine in years.
Jan LeCun, one of the godfathers of AI, he puts it so well. He points out that for all their ability to use words, these AIs don't understand the world in a basic physical way like an animal does. They can describe a cat, but they don't get what a cat is, what it does, how it moves through the world. They have no common sense.
And that, right there, that's the core of the problem. For years, the whole industry has placed this massive bet on one single idea, that true intelligence will just magically emerge from getting really, really good at predicting the next word in a sentence. And now, for the first time, a lot of very smart people are starting to ask, wait a minute, what if that's just wrong?
Okay, so things sound a little bleak, right? The old playbook is toast. But here's the cool part. This triple crisis is actually forcing the industry to get creative again. It might just be kicking off a new golden age of actual discovery.
So instead of just thinking one way, scale up, people are getting creative. They're exploring how to scale down, making models that are smaller but way more efficient, and how to scale out, building teams of smaller expert AIs that work together to solve complex problems.
And then you've got the really wild stuff, the bleeding edge. Totally new architectures with crazy names like Mamba or liquid neural networks. Or the idea of world models that actually learn about cause and effect by playing in a simulation. Now, to be clear, this is all very early days stuff. It's promising, but totally unproven.
It kind of reminds me of what Ilya Sutskever, one of the key minds behind GPT, said. The 2010s were all about making things bigger. Now that that's over, we're back to a time of real research, of wonder, of trying to figure out the fundamentals all over again. Which leaves us with one final huge question. For the last decade, the race in AI was all about being the biggest. But if that race is over, a new one is just getting started. And it's a much more exciting race, don't you think? It's not about who can be the biggest, but who can figure out how to be the smartest.